Hello friends, it's Kathy Clement with Kathy by Design. Welcome to Wonderful Wednesday. This is a weekly series that we do on my YouTube channel. We follow a little schedule each month. On the first Wednesday of the month, we make the tag of the month. The second Wednesday is the banner of the month. Third Wednesday is the birthday card of the month, and the fourth Wednesday is the flower of the month. And I do a tutorial and we build a project together, and it's lots of fun. This is the second Wednesday in April, so it's time for us to do our banner of the month. And here's a peek at what we're making. It's pretty spectacular, so stick around. It's going to get fun. The project we're using to make this banner is Stamperia's Romantic Collection Threads. And you can see I've cut this thing up pretty well, but there's still enough in here to show you some pictures of what the paper looks like. I love this collection, and it works so beautifully for sewing themed anything. It's wonderfully vintage. Let me turn it this way. Lots of beautiful sewing images, really soft, feminine colors. Just like, look at these lilies, so beautiful. So I used this to make a card a couple of weeks ago, or a week ago. There's more of those beautiful lilies and roses, so gorgeous. And I enjoyed it so much that I thought it would come back and I would use this same collection to make our banner of the month with a sewing theme. Mother's Day is coming, and it's always nice to have a little gift for mom. So there's the papers. And if you'd like to see how to build this banner, stick around. The tutorial comes next. All right, friends, I've gone ahead and cut out my pennants and lined them with my patterned paper and stitched them onto my ribbon. This is how I start every project. I've used a stitched pennant die, the next to the smallest, and then these are Graphic 45 ivory square tags, and this is the Eileen Hull Stitchlets House Stitchlets pocket die, and I've got 3 of those, and then I repeat with another square tag and another small pennant, so it's symmetrical. And I've cut out my liner papers with the same dies that I cut the base pennant. So to make them, this is of course the square tag die from Graphic 45, but like for this, I just cut about 1/8 of an inch off each side and a little more than 1/8 of an inch off the top. And that makes it fit at the bottom, and you don't have to make awkward cuts. Same thing here. I cut about, not quite 1/4 of an inch off the top and about 1/8 of an inch off each side. And then you don't have to cut this along the bottom. It just automatically fits. Then once I've layered these together, I put a little piece of score tape in the center of my patterned paper and of my tag, and I put it on a large piece of burlap. I stitch this up on my machine, and then I trim around it with my scissors. And once I've done that, then I go ahead and I attach everything to the ribbon. And the way I stitch these, I use binder clips, and I'll put my ribbon over to the side along with my lace, and I just clip it onto here. And then once I've got them all clipped, I take them over to my sewing machine and I sew, and I remove my clips as I go. Before I sew them onto the ribbon, I just sew around the perimeter of each tag just to create this sort of border. So I stitch all the way across and I remove the clips as I go. I find that pins don't work very well because the paper is thick and it's a lot of layers, so those binder clips work well for me. And sometimes it's a little tricky, and you can see like right here, I kind of skipped a little bit, but I'll cover that up with a design element and no one will know. So once I go this way, I come back and I go all the way along the bottom of the ribbon. And the reason I do this is that it keeps the tags from flipping in an awkward way. It makes them lay flat when they're displayed. So once I put my ribbon and my lace, sewed my ribbon and lace on, I come in with my contrast ribbon and I just tie a simple, just one loop knot on each end to kind of create this little ribbon cascade over here on the side. And to trim the ends, let me see, I can't find my scissors. These will do. I just fold this in half and I make an angle cut. And then that gives you your pretty tail on the end of your scissors. So that's the basics of how you get started. And take your time with this. The first time you do it, it's going to seem impossible. And if you're a seamstress, this will be easy for you. I'm not, so this I had to really think through. But that's the method that I use every time and stitch my lace and my ribbon on. I hope that makes sense. So we're going to start with decorating the center pennant. I always like to start there because it's kind of like telling a story. And this is like setting the stage. I want this center pennant to be a shaker element. So I've gone into my stash of Reneabouquets goodies and I chose this gorgeous floral wreath. I adhered acetate over the aperture, and then I put 3 layers of foam tape on there. So I'm gonna just put my pretties in here. Some of these. This is a pretty big opening, so I think I can be pretty generous with my sequins. I want to pull out some small buttons because I just think they'll be really pretty in here. Got to have buttons in a sewing themed card. Maybe one more or 2 more. These are a nice size. They're really small, so they'll do well in there. I think that's good. I try to keep these all in the center because if your foam tape rests on one of those sequins, you'll end up with a little leak. And then these are buttons galore. These are called Poppy, but I want a little bit of this darker, not a lot, but a little bit of this darker shade in there. And I like the little flowers and hearts. And these are also buttons galore. These are called Cupcake. Just put a little bit of these in there. They had kind of a nice textural element. And then these are jewels. Just going to carefully open these because, boy, these make a mess. I'm just going to put a couple little pinches. It's like adding spice to a recipe, right? You don't want to overdo it, but you want to make sure you've got enough in there that you can taste it. So there's that. I'm going to bring in my frame. And I don't know if these are supposed to go at the top, the side, but I'm going to do it, I think I want to do it like this. I'm just going to press this into place. Oh yeah, that's really pretty. And then I've got this dress mannequin. This is some of the die cuts from the Threads collection, and I've inked the edges with gathered twigs. I'm going to put this one down, and then I've got this really pretty sort of dressed up one, and I'm going to create like a, I don't know which way I want to go. I think I want to go this way, almost like it's a shadow, but I like the dimension of that. And that's pretty much all we need to do there. I might come in and add a little bit of flowers or something, but that's really beautiful. All right, friends, I did add a little bit of lace around the waist of my mannequin and I add a little flower there because I just thought that was super sweet. Now we're going to go to work on this pennant, and I've got a little piece of vintage crocheted lace. This came in a box of scraps from a yard sale that one of my kids picked up for me because I know I like stuff like this. And this is just a little tiny bit of texture to add in to make things interesting. I'm just going to put it in here kind of in a triangular shape. Just press that down. Paper towels come in really handy when you're doing this sort of thing. And then I have this spool from the paper collection. And I did have foam adhesive on the bottom and on the top. I think I'm going to take the foam adhesive off the bottom because I don't think I need it. This is going to act as foam adhesive. So I'm going to angle this in like this. And then I have this little sentiment from the paper collection. And I've got single foam tape on the inside and double on the outside just to level everything out. And this is going to go at this angle. That's sweet. And then I took a couple of little wooden spools, wrapped them with ribbon and with some of our vintage lace. And I want to try to get this to snug in right there. Yeah, I like that. That's just what I wanted it to do. So that's that pennant. Very simple, but it's so sweet. Now we're going to go back the other direction and get the companion to this. Oops. All right. So here we go. This time I'm going to put my vintage lace at the top. I really can't tell what's front and back. I think I have it on the front, but I can't tell. And I don't know if this was a doily or if it was a sleeve cover on a chair or what it was, but somebody cut it up and saved it and put it in their sewing box. And when I inherited the sewing box, this was in there. So that's kind of fun. And then I've got another one of these little chipboard squares from the paper collection. You can see I'm keeping this real simple. I kind of like it. And this is going to go like this. And then I've got this another little spool of pink thread. And this is going to go like this. For my scissors, I'm going to loop a piece of lace through one of the handles because these are hard to glue down. Metal is always harder to glue down. And I'm going to tie a little square knot up here at the top. And then I'll come back and I'll put a flower on the knot and it'll look really cute. All right. Or a button or something. It'll be sweet. And then I'm also going to put just a little bit of adhesive right there to keep it where I want it to be. Oops. Okay. All right. And we'll finish that up in a bit. And while we're down at this end, you can see I created a little dangle charm in the grommet hole of the tag. And I put a little silver sewing machine and little sewing scissors in there. I think I got these from Buttons Galore and More. That's what I remember, but I'm not 100% sure. And this one I hadn't quite figured out the layout, so you get to do this one with me. Lost my red-handled scissors. Don't you love how crazy it gets as as we keep working. Does it get like that in your studio where it's like all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can't find this and I can't find that. And then you go, oh, well, it must be time to quit. This is going to go right here. And speaking of time to quit, that is my yard guy. He always shows up when I'm doing a tutorial. It's the weirdest thing. I don't know if you can hear the weed whacker in the background, but I apologize. This is another little piece of a doily that was in that same batch of goodies in the old sewing box. I'm going to put this down right here. So pretty. And then my little scissors, I'm going to put right here. I love that they look like a stork. And then back behind my scissors, I've got this piece of purple spool. There we go. All right. I'll have to clean all of them, all covered with glue all of a sudden. I think I got nervous when my yard guy showed up. Yeah. All right. All right, friends, I had to give up. My lawn guy was here forever. So I just ended up going and folding laundry, but here's how I finished out this little tag. I layered the spools together, and then I took the chipboard scissors, which are so sweet, and leveled them out with foam tape, and then I added a couple of little stick pins here. So that's that one. Let's go down to the other end now. Pull this great big banner in. And here's our other tag. I have matching sewing machine and scissors charm here. And I have a doily that I want to add. I think up in this, or maybe down in this corner is where I want my doily. Yeah, I like that. And I didn't make these. My husband brought them home to me from an antique shop. He was in there and someone had a whole bag of these on sale, and he knew I would probably use them. So he brought them home to me, and I'm glad he did, because they're really great for a project like this. I think I did this backwards, but anyway, it doesn't matter. All right. I decided I want it up here. Just press that down. And then I'm just going to show you how I layer these little spools together. I think they look so pretty this way. I've got foam tape on the back of this one. I'm going to put foam tape on the back of our purple one. Just a couple of pieces. This one's going to go in this corner like this. Then I've got our purple spool of thread. And I want another piece of foam tape so it's doubled on the outside. Oh, I had it upside down. Well, that's a problem, isn't it? Let's see if we can. All right, there we go. That works. And then I've got our darling little sewing machine that I've already put some foam tape on. And I'm just going to put a double layer on this outside edge so that it sits level. And this is going to go, I want this to go right here, like that. Okay, so that finishes those out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to at some point stop and thread a whole bunch of buttons, different buttons to add to this, because I think it's just so sweet. And I think that's going to add a lot of dimension. So on these end caps, that's all I'm going to do is make these like little button cards. And the only thing we have left to do is to add the bows and the flowers. And I'm going to go ahead and take care of my buttons, and then I'll show you what I've done. All right, friends, we're going to work together and get this banner finished. You can see here's my little button collage on this little tiny banner, and there's one on the other end that matches it. I just put the thimble down and the chipboard button, and then I clustered a bunch of little buttons from my stash around it. Here's our bow cluster, and we'll make the one on the other side together. So on this first pennant, I've got these are old Petaloo, but I thought the colors matched really well. So I'm going to put these right down in the corner like this. And you can see I added a couple of buttons to my spool of thread. I just want to carry this sewing theme through. And I've got a little burlap bow here that I'm going to anchor underneath. So that takes care of that one. And I added a purple button here with another purple button on top of it. I've got a little bit of glue webs on here that I'm going to clean off. If you ever need to do that, hand sanitizer actually does it. The alcohol breaks down the adhesive. All right, here we are at our middle pennant. And I took little snips of our ribbon and I put these vintage gray buttons on top of those. So that turned out really, really cute. And then on this one, is this right? I want to make sure I have this all set up. No, okay, it's these. Sorry, took me a minute there. I got lost. These are just going to cluster in right here. And I like the way the flowers bring out all the different shades in the paper collection. So I know they don't necessarily match the bow cluster, but I think they go with the bow cluster. There's our little burlap bow right there. Pull this down one. And this is our center panel. And what I've done here is I added a little snip of ribbon, a button, and a couple of little vintage sewing charms to our frame. I'm going to put this flower down right here, and this little petaloo, hydrangea petal. These were one of my favorite things that they made. I'm so sad that Petaloo's gone. I loved being on their design team, and I loved their product, and it's just sad to me that they are no more. All right, on this one, we're going to do pink. Let me see, let's put some up here. I think that's a fun idea. Pink, and then the purple on top. Trying to avoid that hot glue because, man, it's hot. And then a little bow. There we go. Oh, and I got out big vintage buttons and little snips of ribbon to go in between each pennant. I almost forgot that. And then here, I'm going to put this one here. And this one on top of it. Oops, maybe got a little issue here. Just gonna, there we go. All right. Purple rose is going to go right there. All right. Ooh, this is turning out so pretty. So now we're down here to the end. So the first thing I like to do is straighten all my ribbons and make sure they're all going the way I want them to go. All right. And once I'm happy with that, I come in with my bow and I'm just going to open up my loops. And I like these to go tails up. I'm just kind of fussing this bow a little bit. And I'm going to put my glue right on that knot. And then I'm going to bring my bow in and I'm just going to set it in place. Just like that. Okay. Now I'm going to come in with my burlap string, and for this I like to fold the loops back. I need more glue. All right. This is going to go right here. Oops. I'm just going to hold that in place for a second. All right. Now I'm coming in with this pretty pink and purple flower right here. And this lily. Some of these are really reasonable ribbon. Some of these are sent to me by my friend Becky, Cakes at Cabin Ridge. You should check her out on Instagram. She makes the most amazing cakes. And some of these are just some that I had in my stash. I don't know where I got them. So it's a mix. I'll try to link to the ones that I know where they came from. Of course, the Petaloo are all retired. They are no more, sadly. All right, and then this just kind of tucks right in there. And there you have it, my friends. Our April 2024 banner of the month. It's a beauty. I really like it. I might come in. I've got a couple of little chrysanthemums, but I'm pretty happy. I like this just the way it is. I'm not going to do another thing to it. I think it's beautiful. And I hope you enjoyed making this with me. I hope you make one for your craft room. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, we would love to have you along for the journey. We make all kinds of fun things here. Next week, Wonderful Wednesday, is our birthday card of the month, so you don't want to miss that. We're going to make something, I think, a masculine card this time to change things up a little bit. And I'll put a link to my blog in the description box below so that you can check out the supply list in case you want to add any of these paper pretties to your stash. And thank you so much for joining me. Kathy Clement, Kathy by Design. Wonderful Wednesday. Go get your craft on. Bye.